Here's a story that I heard. I just want to make a disclaimer. They say a disclaimer. All these stories that I tell, these are stories that I heard from people. And the way it goes with stories is they're very, susceptible to change. And I've heard people tell stories that happen to themselves, and every time the story is a little bit different. And I tell stories about things that happened to me, and people say, "Hey, the last time you told that story, you told it a different way." So things get changed. So if I say a story or I write a story and someone else tells a story in a different way, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm wrong or that he's wrong. It could be that both of them are wrong. It could be that we each heard the story a little bit different from maybe different people or even from the same person. But nevertheless, the point of the story is usually almost always the same, no matter who tells the story and what details are changed. So here we go. Here's got the story. um, there were in Judaism, in order to eat meat, so the meat has to be slaughtered by a certified person who knows all the laws of slaughtering. Ritual slaughtering is very detailed. There's a lot of details. A lot of things can go wrong. Very easy to go wrong, and that will make the animal uh, unfit to eat. Unfit to eat. A cow, a chicken that was slaughtered improperly, if somebody eats it, it's like the same thing as eating pork or eating shrimp or something. It's forbidden. So you have to be very careful. And a lot of these laws are with the knife. The knife has to be smooth and it has to be sharp. And how you slaughter, you can't press the knife, and you can't stop when you're going back and forth. A lot of detailed laws. Okay, so um, a lot of slaughtering of cows, especially, goes on in Argentina. There's a lot of cattle over there, and there's big open fields. And so what happens? They take groups of they're called shochatim. Shochatim are, want to call it, ritual slaughterers, and they fly down to Argentina for like a month or 2 months, whatever, and they work and slaughter cows, right? They slaughter cows, and of course, there's always people that say, "Well, that's cruel, you're slaughtering cows." So, I mean, the reply to that is, if nobody ate cows, then nobody would grow cows. There would be like millions of less cows in the world. So, okay, you look at it however you want to, but nevertheless, it's permissible to do, and they go down, and it's even a holy thing to do. So they went down. There was, let's say, 30 of them, a whole group, and they went down to Argentina. So usually the slaughtering houses are far away from the city. They're far away from the city. It's, let's say, an hour drive away from the city because it's smelly and it's noisy. So these shochatim, all religious Jews, they 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 lived in a place. Maybe they rented out a house or something in Argentina, wherever it is, in the main big city in Argentina. What is it, Buenos Aires or something? And they rented out of the place, and then every day they would get into a bus and they would drive for an hour. It could be that on the bus, even that they would make a minyan, they would pray. They would get to the place they would slaughter. They would work there for, let's say, 5 6 hours, and then they would take the bus back. Okay, one day they finished working, and they were on the way back. There's a big, huge metal electric gate that slides open to let everybody out. And so they got to the gate. They were all tired. They wanted to go back home. They wanted to rest. They wanted to eat. But the guard wouldn't open the door. There was a guard that set up in this guardhouse way up there, and they said, open the door, and knocked on it. Didn't open the door. So they knocked, hello, hello. No. So one of them knew how to speak Spanish a little bit, and he said, Porta. How do you? I used to know Spanish a little bit, but anyway. So he said, open up the door in Spanish. Didn't work. So he said it in Portuguese. Maybe it didn't work. Just open the door. So they called up the manager of the whole place. Says, listen, the guy over here won't open up the door for us. Why won't he open the door? So he called him up, and he said the manager said, let me talk to the guard at the door. He calls him up, says, what's wrong? Why won't you open the door? He says, because one is missing. One of the Jews is missing. Something must have happened to him. He's missing. I don't want to. So they're on the phone. Meanwhile, he says, what's going on? He says, I don't know. He says, one of you is missing. He says, what's the guy talking about? He's nuts. He's sitting up there in his place. How can he know that we all look the same? They all have beards. Maybe one is a little taller, maybe a little shorter, but he's sitting up in a higher place. Anyway, he won't open the door. So they said, well, make a count. Somebody missing. They said, listen, no one's missing. So they made a count. Someone was missing. Who was missing? There was one of the workers. I heard that he was a Chabad guy, but he was a quiet sort of a guy. And he was missing. So they went back. They figured maybe he's asleep. Maybe he was really tired and he fell asleep. So they went and they went to the places. I guess there's a room where they had beds. Wasn't there? They went to the lunchroom. Wasn't there? So they're looking around. Where could he be? So they're starting to get frantic a little bit. Couldn't be that somebody kidnapped him. Nobody can come. Maybe somebody did come in. Maybe someone said snuck in. Who knows what could have happened? Anyway, they looked around and they found him in the freezer. They have a freezer which is like 30 degrees below zero or something. That's where they keep the meat. Huge freezer, because they keep like who knows thousands of carcasses of whatever is meat. And they found him on the floor unconscious. They pulled him out. They had a medic there that was with them. They brought him, and they miraculously got him in time, and they brought him back to life. And it was, I think they had to work an hour or whatever it is, and they brought him back to life, and he was okay. And they said, okay, we'll take him to the hospital or whatever it is. But he said he feels okay. So they went to the guard and they said, thank you. You saved this guy's life. How did you know someone was missing? You have such an eye like that. It's a real talent. He says, no. He says, I know. He said, every morning when you come in, everybody comes in, they're going to, one of them says, good morning to me. Buenos dias. Came in. And when you're going out, there's one of you that says, buenas noches. Have a good evening. Says something. Every morning. Only one says good morning to me. Only one. Today, you came in the morning, and that fellow said good morning. But when you're coming out, nobody said good evening. No one said good evening to me. So I don't know which one it is of you that says it, but I know that the one who says it didn't say it, and nobody else says it, so it must be that he was missing. And they discovered that it was. So the way I heard the story was that they said, wow, it's amazing. You're the only one that used to say good morning to this. Maybe he wasn't a Chabad Chassid. In any case, you said the only one that said, why did you say every morning you say good morning to the guard? I mean, he doesn't need your good morning. And we didn't say why. He said, well, I'll tell you. Once I went to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Somebody invited me there. I guess from this story, I guess he wasn't a Chabad. Anyway, so he said, I went to the Lubavitcher Rebbe and I saw that either it was the days when he was giving out dollars. He used to give out dollars in the morning. He used to give like to about, I don't know, 10,000 people dollars. They would come by and everybody would give $1, which the intention was that this person would give that dollar or exchange the dollar, but give charity. Because people don't have, especially non-religious Jews, they're not in a place where people ask for charity. So give $1 and then you give charity. That was his idea. So he said that I watched the Rebbe and I saw that every single person that went by, the Rebbe was really interested in that person. He really took an interest, even if it was just 5 seconds, 10 seconds. People saw the Rebbe was really interested in the blessing that he gave. It wasn't just like, mechanical blessing. It was interested. So I thought to myself, wow, that Lubavitcher Rebbe, he sees thousands of people and he's interested in everyone. Everyone is important to him. From that, I thought, everybody's important. And the people that went by the Rebbe were not necessarily all Jews. I mean, I'm sure that 99% were Jews, but they weren't necessarily Jews. And nevertheless, the Rebbe was interested in each and every one of them important. He said, I decided from then on that everybody's important. So when I came in, I would say good morning to him. And when I would leave, I would say good evening. So it ended up that it made the guard feel good, but it saved this fellow's life. So what's the point? The point is, be nice. Everybody is as important as you are. Have a good day with Mashiach now. 1 second.